Everyone. Thank you all for coming. I am Marc Cohen. I am currently the Vice President of Regions in FJMC. I started out my time in FJMC when I became men's club
Well,
president.
because I've muted them, but that doesn't kill the sound.
Are we all okay and muted? Okay. So I was one of the youngest presidents at my men's club presidents at my synagogue, and I fell in love with FJMC. I love being part of it, and I love being able to connect with people. So this is something that I had put together a while back when I became an FJMC consultant, and it's about how to run your year. So we're gonna put up a slide that Bob's going to help me with, and I'm going to talk you guys through how I used to see my year. Bob?
Everybody should see it now, right?
Okay. So planning for your year. So, where I'm a big sports fan, I love sports, baseball, everything. I'm from the Bronx originally. Love the Yankees, love the Giants, Knicks, Rangers. I tolerate the Philly, some of the Philly teams, not all of them, especially the Eagles. I kind of look at it as a sports game. I kind of look at it as football. So I look at it as there's 4 quarters in a football game, and there are 4 quarters in the year. So Bob's going to hit the next slide. And this is how I like to plan it. This is a little bit about me. That's me. That's me from my bar mitzvah way back. I was bar mitzvahed at Temple Bet Torah in Wellington, Florida. Actually, at that point in time, Temple Bet Torah is a Reform synagogue, but is part of FJMC now. I was actually bar mitzvahed at St. David's in the Pines, where Temple Bet Torah used to be. But that's a picture of me at that point in my life. And those are some of the things that I've done. At the end, we'll talk about if anybody has any questions about any other things that you want to talk about, we can do that too. So next slide. Okay, so what are your yearly events? You kind of have to figure out, between, we've got FJMC and we have your synagogue. Okay, so we have your clubs and we have FJMC. So what are the programs that your club participates in annually? And you need to kind of make a list, and you kind of need to look at it as, this would go here, this would go here, this might go here. And then you could take in some of the FJMC stuff and plug it in as well. Worldwide Wrap, Steak and Scotch, whatever else, we have going on that would actually help, do things within your club for the year. So there are also what I like to call dead zones, okay? Dead zones for the year end up usually at the end of summer up to Labor Day, okay? Everybody either goes to camp, people go all over, they travel, and that's basically the summer is kind of dead from, the middle of June, pretty much till, you get started again in the middle of August, okay? After all the Jewish holidays, sometimes, there's kind of a little letdown after Simchas Torah and Sukkot and all that. It kind of dulls a little bit. And that's kind of where you need to get everybody back, because they've been in synagogue and you've got them there, and now you got to bring them back to do some things. Sometimes after Passover, that's also a little downtime. So, those are things that you want to look at. So I just always like to keep those in light when I'm looking at a calendar. Okay, so we're going to go to the next slide. So like I said, make a list of your club programs. So sometimes the shul runs, we run high holiday ushering. Sometimes the men's club helps with Purim Carnival, and we do a Passover wine sale program, other programs for your shul. But what can you put in from men's club, from FJMC? Men's club Shabbat weekend. Show a yellow candles. The Worldwide Wrap is always Super Bowl Sunday. I mean, it's always going to be Super Bowl Sunday. And they're going to move the Super Bowl most likely to the weekend of President's Weekend, starting in 2027 or 2028, I heard. Hearing men's voices, always a good thing. The Wellness Initiative, Steak and Scotch, and things that you can also plan. Programming with your rabbi. We have a great thing called JBV, Jews, Brews, and Views. That's where we actually go with the rabbi. We go to a bar usually, and we don't usually eat, but we usually drink, because that's kind of what we like to do. And the rabbi talks about things that he wouldn't necessarily talk about in synagogue. We've talked about sex and football. We've talked about rock and roll and football and things like that. So it kind of gets everybody out of the, sometimes a lot of people don't like to talk about certain things in synagogue, but if you get them outside of synagogue in a setting with a rabbi, it becomes a little bit more, to get more of a togetherness. Another thing we also do is we have a start sometimes of the year where we'll go to somebody's house and we'll sit around the bonfire and we'll talk, we'll bring up those subjects as well. So there's so many different things that you can do. So this is just something that I put together, but there's so much more, and we'll talk about that down the road. Bob, what is it? What if it's listen, if it's a female rabbi, we have a female cantor. She comes to all of our stuff. She's leading men. I'm sure she's got things to do. Okay. I don't think that that's that's something that you can work with. And definitely you can do a fallback to shul barbecue. I know that that's something there, Rich. So good job on that. What do I do now? So how are we going to do all of this? And when am I going to do all this? That's the question. I came back from my first convention in 2005, and I was in Weston, Florida is where it was. And I came back with all these great ideas, and I went to synagogue and I talked to the rabbi and I talked to this person, and it was like, slow your roll. So you get that a lot. I wanted to do a daddy-daughter dance, and the religious school didn't want to work with me on it. They were like, we just don't want to do that. The rabbi was at that point not totally accepting everything that we did, but the more we said, this is what we're going to do, and it's a partnership, that's how things actually get done. So talking with your clergy is most important. Okay. And especially now with forward thinking, a lot of people are moving in a fun direction. Next one. So the answer is, you're not going to do everything. Okay. But you look at it as your men's club as the 4 quarters of a football game. Being a Giant fan, this is one of my favorite pictures, so that's why I put it in here. Moving on. All right. So the beginning of the year, I look at it from September to November. Start of your year off, an introductory event. Rich came up with a great idea, the back to barbecue, which is a great idea. We did a thing also. So, that's a great way to do it. Get recognized in the religious school to get those young dads coming in. One of the great things that we did once a while back is we actually took our calendar, and then we went and we got bagels and we smeared the bagels, and then we took the calendar and we wrapped the calendar around the bagel. So when the fathers came in to bring their kids to the first day of religious school, we gave them a bagel and the calendar. And if a mom came, we gave the calendar to the mom to give to the husband. So, you've got to get that out there, to let those people know that, if you're going to drop your kid, back then it was, you would drop your kid off and, hey, there was a 9 o'clock brunch, but a lot of people don't do that anymore. So, that's a great way to do it, though, to get information out to people. Another way, during high holidays, we actually walk around. Men's club is usually doing ushering. They walk around with the calendars and hand them to the guys, or a personal invite to the Steak and Scotch, which is in 2 weeks from tonight. And we use QR codes now, which all they have to do is they take that card home and they zap it with their phone, and then they can sign up right then and there for Steak and Scotch. So that's another one. Just looking. Thinking, got talent performing something Jewish. I like that idea. We'll talk about that in a second. Go back one. I'm sorry. Yeah, go back to that one. High holiday days and steak and scotch. If you've never run a steak and scotch, it's it could be a really good moneymaker, and it's really a lot of fun. And we have some great clubs that have some great ideas, and you could find a lot of that in the Torch Awards. And I can always put you in touch with somebody who I know is doing a program that you want to do, so we can always connect you guys. So it's not just, here's the idea, but we can put you in touch with a person that we know would help you get that off the ground or give you the ideas of what you might want to do. Okay, don't be afraid to ask, because my dad always said, if you don't ask, you don't get. Next one. So the second quarter is usually in the dead of winter, so that's December to February, and you got Christmas break in between there. But that's a great time for a Saturday social event, maybe a joint event with Sisterhood, a comedy night, bowling, something that gets Shabbat gets out early on Saturday nights that you can do not so much in the synagogue, but you can do out of the synagogue as well. Hanukkah programs. Then we have the Worldwide Wrap with Build a Pair. If nobody's ever done a Build a Pair, Ira Unger and Warren, not this Warren, but Suffren in Tri-State, they set that up, and it's a great program to do with a religious school, part of your synagogue, or an HMB program. HMB programs are great. You can pick something, heart, working out, in this age. We have a couple other ones, but there's really some good stuff that you can pull out of that to use, get a couple doctors who might want to speak. And again, those really are a nice program to do. So that's, again, I'm not telling you what to do. This is just some ideas, and this is how I look at the year. All right, we're going to go to the third quarter. Usually around here, you can throw Men's Club Shabbat in. Sometimes it's in the second quarter. You could do a Passover program, Yom HaShoah candles for Yom HaShoah, which is usually in May. Some people do it. A lot of people do a golf outing. If I'm not mistaken, Rich Neb, who's on this call, Temple Beth Torah actually does their golf outing. So I know that they do one. Jason, that's a great idea. A bike ride as well. So there's so many different things that you can do, but something outdoors. Even if we did a cornhole tournament, which was really fun. We had about 10 sets, and we had a huge tournament. And we did a barbecue with it, and it was really fun. We actually did it during COVID, and it was so much fun. And we do it a lot now, so we do it every year. It's really a lot of fun. And some people are really good at it, I've learned. All right, so we're gonna move on. And the fourth quarter. So summertime, and the living is easy, and it's kind of like, okay, we all end our year, end of the year barbecues for, members of the men's club. You can honor your workers with their service award, a year-end wrap up. We do our service award. We give our service award at our barbecue at the end of the year. But we also, every other year, we switch our presidents, we switch our board. So things actually get, every 2 years, like next year, we also have convention in Chicago. Hopefully everybody's going to be in Chicago, July 1st, 2025. It's going to be awesome. City Walk, Sheridan, be there, be square. So those are things that you can do. These are just small ideas. And if you need any help with anything, that's why FJMC is here. Okay. So that's kind of how I look at it, but that's the fourth quarter. So here are your don't forget type of things. your man of the years, dinners. Regions have them. Ours is in December, this year, December, what is that again, Steve? 15th? I always forget. This year it's December 15th. Is our man of the year dinner here at MAR. Seaboard has two, Northern New Jersey has two. They're great, they're awesome. FJMC is the Shabbaton, and it's not, we have the Shabbaton in May of 2024, which we had, so I didn't take that out. But then convention in 2025, regional retreats, awesome. Okay, and then great program to choose from off the FJMC website. What do I have next? Okay, so we have the new FJMC website, which Bob, everybody should give a clap for Bob, because Bob spearheaded that and did a great job with it. You will find quality club awards, torch awards. These are all things that we have done prior that have been successful, and the tools are there for you to use. And like I said, if you want to talk to somebody that, if it says a club in Boston did it, we can put you in touch with that club to help, if you have questions of how you might want to do it. You don't have to do it the same way, but you might want to take bits and pieces. Imitation is the greatest form of flattery. Okay. But we have the tools. You just, I know people have issues with, this one talking with that one or talking to this and getting things together, but there are things that we can help you put things together to help make it as successful as you want it to be in a positive way. Okay. Bob, one more, I think that's it. Oh, so here's my information. You can call me, reach me anytime. Send me a pigeon, whatever you want. But that's all of my information, and I think Bob's going to share this with everybody. And so we are here to help you. That's why I love FJMC. I love talking to people from all around the country, and this is what I do. And I think that's it. Right? 20-minute presentation, right, Bob?
Exactly.
How'd
Yeah.
I do?
Yeah. You
do?
like 30 seconds, like over
Woo!
like that. Thank you very much. Yeah, and I'll share it because this is one of the reasons I had you all register like I did. So I get a spreadsheet with all your email addresses on it, and then I can send you I'll send you the PowerPoint presentation, so you don't have to take down all this information, and there'll be a recording link also. And
So, again, we're here to just help and push you, put you in the right general vicinity. We have a regional president here, Steve Pilchick is here. We have some great new guys here from the New Texas region. So Baruch, hello, Mr. Garcia. How are you, sir? We had Jeff was here. Jeff, I saw Bill is also here from there. So, want to thank you guys for being here. Abe is also from MAR. Rich is from Florida. Charles is from Anche Dorone down in Georgia area. Jason, I met Jason at convention. So how's your music, Jason? Going okay? Alex, it's always good to see. Stuart, I have not met you, but it's good to see you. And Larry, I've known Larry for years now. Larry was actually 20 when I met him. It looks like he's 35 now. So, there's any questions, please. I'm here to answer any questions. I've got some people on here that I know that can help me if I don't know an answer.
Mark, I wanted to pick up on a couple of things. I'll take the prerogative as the chair to pick up on a couple of things you said. First of all, if you go to awards.fjmc.org and navigate through the menu, you get to the Torch Awards with links to all the winning Torch Awards. They're from the old site linked into the new site, so they don't look great, but the information you need is there. For the Torch Awards, for the winning Torch Awards for the last several cycles. There's a Torch Award cycle for every convention. And also you know, all the program information on the website. And I think Mark's, there's a lot of content there. If you're logged in, okay, the one of the things we tried to like not give away the cow, I guess, however the expression goes, like, so you know, you can easily register or log in and get to a lot of that content about running your programs, about torch awards. The one thing that I would say about running your year, though, Mark, is from my experience, because I'm a club president about 10 years ago, and then region president, and of a mid-sized congregation. Now we're up to about 680, and the calendar gets filled up really quickly for the year. If you got a strong sisterhood, if you got like active youth programs, if you got active congregation. And, you know, I found that we used to have a planning meeting, like, you know, everybody get together for deli at the president's house in July. That was too late, right? You know, and when I became president, it's like, okay, let's start in May so we don't get blindsided. So when they start to ask for your events in June or July, you have them. Doesn't mean you can't change the calendar during the year, but those key dates for your scotch and the, you know, steak at night, or for your key fundraising events, you want to have those dates pinned down as early as possible. And you know, we found that if we couldn't deconflict, we partnered, right? So, you know, we wound up having now we have our big fundraising event of the year with the sisterhood, and we get a good team and we split the proceeds for the club.
Well, I'm going to piggyback off of you for a second, but Abe is here. And Temple Beth Shalom and South Jersey Men's Club, he's over here, Abe. We actually, you know, teamed up, and we had a speaker who did the for the baseball book. And we had about 120 guys. I think there were 70 from his club and 50 from ours at our synagogue, and we had a great a guy who wrote a book about baseball. And he came and he spoke, and it was great. And it was good to partner with them. South Jersey Men's Club is a unique men's club. I always like to say this because they are not affiliated with the synagogue. They are basically based out of the JCC here in Southern New Jersey, and they do a phenomenal job in the community. You know, but they all have men who are in synagogues, but yet their men's club is, you know, part of the whole community, which is a great thing.
Yeah, I belong to two clubs. Yeah, I mean, and also the regional gives you $200 if you do that. So that's a plus to that.
Partner or what?
And also we're talking about having a football breakfast, October 20th. They're going to be in London, so the game is going to be at 9 a.m. So I think that would be a nice opportunity to get people together. So just for your information.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would add, and I think, Mark, it would be great if we could throw it up open to other people for their ideas as well as questions, right? And
Please.
I mean, you know, we partner, we have 3 clubs in Northern Virginia within fairly close proximity that can go to Nats games. So we organize a baseball game that we open up to the other clubs. For example, a trip to the Nationals. So you know, any opportunity you can have for partnering with your neighboring clubs is great. But well, I think I know some guys have some ideas about their best practices, and it would be great to hear from you as well as any questions that you have about
Let's
what
see.
we talked about.
One issue that we're talking about is the age of the members. And, you know, some clubs are young, some clubs are old, and I think the very few that are mixed. And one of the goals of the combined thing was to get younger members, and it didn't work. You know, I mean, my club is is like, I would say average 65 to 70. And it's because we're not attached to a synagogue. We don't have a school, we don't have young people to participate in. But again, we have 130 members, so we don't have a problem with members. It's a problem that we're getting old. And that's, I think it's something that should be addressed. Maybe when we have the convention next year, we should have a session on that. Well, how do we, you know, how do we deal with that situation?
Well, I think Mark and I are both on the executive committee, and this is a core issue that we're talking
Yeah.
about all the time. There's a whole committee looking at this. I
Right.
think Lee Brill here, I think he's involved in that effort. I don't know, please.
Yes, I'm working with the young guy, with guys who we're, you know, there are things that are going on. We're trying to, you know, get everybody involved together. So we're doing new things.
Happening.
Somebody's sharing their screen, Baruch, maybe.
Organize facility whiteboard. There we go. Interesting.
Somebody popped up the whiteboard. Huh. Trying to get rid of it.
Well, now I know what the whiteboard is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Did it go away? Did the
we're
whiteboard?
Yeah, it's good now.
yeah.
Sorry.
So we're working on younger, you know, and there's a whole new initiative. There are many new initiatives you'll find out about. You know, our club, my own club, actually, we're doing okay in this category. We had a younger men's group that was totally unaffiliated, and when I was past president of the club and chair of the nominating committee, I said, why don't we just make the head of this younger men's group the president of the men's club? So we went in 1 year from having a 75-year-old president to having a 39-year-old president. And we brought about 40 new guys into the club, 40 younger guys in the club. And I think it's really had a great impact on the way we organize things, you know, when we do things, what we do, and you know, help to revitalize the club. And if there's any way you can combine with the younger, this could be a whole topic for another session, right, Mark?
Right.
So I don't want to get deeply into this if we're just talking about program planning, really.
Bob, I have a question on that. The new president, the young guy, what kind of programs did they run that were any different from the ones that the old guys run?
I mean,
Or
more,
were they totally different?
well, more active things, perhaps. We got some more sports activities, right? We got now like something called, it used to be called kickball and highballs, where they get a kickball game together and then everybody goes to like a Mexican restaurant across the street for dinner. A family like mini golf outing, you know, because my kids are in college or older, right? I wouldn't think of, but where the younger dads could bring their kids to a mini golf outing. So nothing that's rocket science, but just leaning towards a younger group. You know, we have poker night, which is we always had, but you know, now we get, now when we added those younger guys, we get a lot more guys into our poker night. We have a Texas Hold'em tournament where, you know, the prizes are like bottles of whiskey of various grades. And you know, So we whittled down, you play the tables and then you eliminate people down to one table. And I was the oldest guy at the final table, and they were calling me Pops. Okay. Takes the younger guys. So
Thanks, Bob. I think that was helpful. That was very helpful to me anyhow. Thank you.
Bob, I got here late. Can you send me a copy of the video?
yeah, Jim,
You
I'll send
recorded?
it out. I'm going to send out the presentation and the link to the video to everybody.
Thank you much. Appreciate it.
After
We were out for dinner.
a couple of days. So Baruch, how do you plan your calendar? You're from a huge congregation, right? So it must be hard to pin down events, is it? Or
It's very difficult. It's a process. I think some of us have run into some issues. When I joined, when I first took over as president 4 years ago, turned over the reins to Andrew recently. We have our brotherhood, our men's club has, we call it a Temple Emmanuel Brotherhood. We have a liaison usually, and I guess when I came in right around COVID, we had problems keeping people, in the administration. So during my tenure, I must have had six liaisons, and usually our liaison was the one who we gave our information to, and she put it in the calendar. Well, that became a disaster during COVID, and I just had to call whoever I thought had the skills or the ability to put it in the calendar. And it is such a busy temple that it was not easy.
you mean a liaison in the office, right? In
the temple administration.
Yeah.
They usually have a liaison to us. We have our own liaison now. We have our own liaison. So, but it's still not an easy process. I mean, so we'll submit our requests to the liaison, and then she'll submit them to whomever may have an interaction or a conflict with that particular event or calendar. And then there is also a rabbi who is in charge of the calendar, and you have to run it through her secretary, or our liaison will, and then the rabbi will do a final approval of adding the event to the calendar. So it can be a very complex process. I think it's meant to simplify things so that there are not so many conflicts. It's such a big temple. I mean, I don't know how many total members. I think we have 6,500 members total. The families are, a little under that, half of that.
Oh.
But it's very complex. So that's why it's crucial that we submit everything via our liaison. And right before I gave my presidency over to our new guy, Andrew, they're very respectful. They're like, well, this person's the president now, and this person's the president, then, and we're gonna listen to this person now and this person then. So it's very it's quite regimented, but it seems to work if you follow the right channels. Now, every once in a while, we probably don't follow the right channels if we have an urgent thing to put in, or it's just sometimes you just can't get a hold of anybody and you got to get something on the calendar. You can probably do it. It's just not fun, but it's super complicated. Without the liaison, it's very complicated. That's how we do it.
Thanks.
You asked.
You brought me to an interesting subject though, and something that we've done, speaking of the rabbi and the clergy, because it's great to have. You should have their buy-in too. You want them to show up to your events if they can, man or woman, is a clergy or man or woman, so I did this when I was president, and I've encouraged other guys to do it, is just after you get your calendar or an idea of your events laid out, like Marc showed, like try to make an appointment with the rabbi, or the rabbis we have a senior rabbi and an assistant rabbi, to just sit down with them and say, okay, this is what we're interested in doing this year. And I found it, useful in a couple of ways. Like, I found out that the rabbi hated men's club Shabbat. Okay. And he's like, I want to get rid of this. Because he just didn't have any patience for like 50 guys getting up there and slicing and dicing. Not only did he managed to get rid of men's club Shabbat, but he also got rid of sisterhood Shabbat, which is even a bigger task. But
See, ours love it because they don't have to do anything. We do everything from soup to nuts for it.
well, we did too, but he just didn't. I don't know. I wasn't comfortable with all these guys leading. What we did, though, we managed to morph it into a different framework. So he said, okay, how about if we have, being in the Northern Virginia area, we're about 10 miles from the Pentagon and near several military bases. And a lot of people have served in our congregation. How about we do a military Shabbat or a service Shabbat where we honor all the people who have served. But that was organized by the men's club, right? So it kind of became a stealth men's club Shabbat. Um, so, but you can get more support. I mean, that's an odd example, but you can get support if you sit down earlier in your program here, I think, with the rabbis, and so they know what you're doing. Because you got to get them on the calendar for some of the events that Mark had suggested.
They love stinking scotch. Woo, baby.
And Mark, I think, and Bob, you brought up a really good point of getting to the calendaring process on time, not late. But the other thing I found to be really effective for any men's club effectiveness is to tap into who controls the publicity channels so that you can get your men's club publicity through the temple publicity channels and not have to do it all yourself and rely on email that we know goes, 70% unread.
So I'm just gonna our men's club has a Facebook, Instagram site that we use. We put the QR codes up on it and all that other fun stuff. And then every Thursday the synagogue does their email blast, our stuff's on it with the links and everything. So, like we know every Thursday we have to have something to the powers that be by Wednesday, and then it goes out on Thursday afternoon to the whole congregation. So, they're never going to tell you no unless it's like an emergency email that's going out, like something that happened or whatever. But we know that, Wednesday at 8 o'clock at night, it's got to be into whoever runs it in the office, and gets the information out. And then we actually just take that and put it on our Facebook and our Instagram site and stuff like that.
Yeah, you've got it figured out. You're plugged in. That's what I
Yeah.
mean.
Listen, you have to be plugged
And
in.
if you're not, becomes a real challenge.
Correct. And that's the other thing. And by the way, it's really easy to make a QR code for something. Okay. And it's really easy to,
Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Mark, you got muted.
You got muted, Mark.
okay, sorry about that. The other thing though is that personal call also helps a lot. And I know that's a lot, but if you split it up between your executive board or your board of directors and you call like all the new members that are coming into your synagogue in early September, something like that, and invite them to things. That personal touch is always something that's really good to have. I know it could be, monumental to do at times, but it's always nice to know or get that invitation, or hey, I got a phone call from so and so at the men's club and they told me I should sign up. but that one-on-one connection is something that I always enjoyed. You know, my dad was a salesman, so you know, everything, you know, before there were, you know, all this electronic stuff, you know, he got on a plane and shook the guy's hand that he got a sales thing from, and that's, you know, how he was successful. So, you know, it's the same thing here.
Yeah, I mean, I have to do 18-month plans because we
Wow.
work with the JCC and they have, I don't know, 2,000, 3,000 families. So we have an 18-month plan, and then we have alternate rooms for each event, so that they, you know, they know that it will be okay for us to have that room.
I know I haven't been invited to a brunch lately. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
All right. Well, you got to be there at 9 o'clock.
I'm up at 6 every day. Jeff has a question.
Hey guys, thank you. Mark, thank you for this. This was a great presentation. I just want to let everybody know that basically the reason I'm on this call is to just listen to all these phenomenal ideas. And I think Barack is going to probably chime in too, because we are both about to start a brand new region with FJMC, and it's the Texas region. So you can imagine that FJMC has not started a region probably in what, 30 years maybe? And there is a lot of opportunity here. There's a lot of lessons learned. And we're trying to gather that information to basically say, okay, how do we start a region? I reached out to one of my friends here, Steve, and God love him. He immediately got me into the right people, such as Marc, and the cavalry came a running. So we have a call this Tuesday. I think it's Tuesday, with the FJMC execs, and just to talk about how do you start a region? Give us some, you know, and then that's the questions we're asking: is what is the baseline? Is there documentation or anything that is available that will give us an opportunity, almost a roadmap? No, I think we can probably certainly apply, because most of us have been part of clubs that started clubs. So we can probably apply some of that information. So starting with region, but then it's a matter of how do you herd the cats? And Texas is a pretty large state. So we are in the process of just getting our feet wet. I think we're ready to dive into the pool. And the information that you guys have provided here today is really great. So I appreciate all the support. Thank you.
And great resources that we know you have for us.
Just can't wait to work with you guys. Like, you really have no idea. I told Barack, Dallas and Texas have a I mean, other than, you know, not liking the Cowboys, whatever, but I used to have an office in the Dallas Apparel Mart off of Stebbins Freeway.
Yep.
So I used to stay at the Crescent Court down there, which was over where the American Airlines Arena is. I miss it a lot when I used to go down there. But you know, I have my dad's his biggest company was JCPenney in Plano. So, you know, I know Dallas pretty well, so I'm excited to work with you guys. It's almost like a third home of mine.
Well, man, I've fluffed the pillow in our guest room here, Mark. So you got it, buddy.
I can't wait.
Excellent.
Great. Welcome, Jeff. I was out there last September, a year ago, September, with the group that came out to you know, shake the trees for.
Yes, you guys did, and you shook them good. So that's we appreciate that. Thank you.
My nephew now works for Capital One in Plano, and so we may be out there too. And it's great to have you here. But you have great resources. You have Bill Becker, of course, who was like a predecessor of mine as a Seaboard president, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And other folks, and you know, great, powerful clubs and congregations to build on. So you know, we're looking.
You know, once we get the charter written up, we will celebrate, and then we'll keep you posted as we you know, start to put our programming together. And we'll probably be reaching out to you because I think one of the first things we certainly want to do is we're definitely going to need some sort of LDI, um, which is going to be.
Well, we know you had a small one back in June.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So it was, I know you had the 5 clubs in Dallas and, in that area. And then
Yeah.
I think you guys piped in Houston.
Yes.
That's
See, I got you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, gotcha.
Yeah.
Houston is extremely organized. So I noticed that because when I looked at the Chevrolet, I updated it for our men's club. We've had some issues with that. And finally, I just convinced, or someone I don't know who convinced me. I don't know if it was Bob or somebody told me, you could just go over there and upload your club. And so then our current president said, okay, because it seemed like a more complex process. But as I went in there and explored it and helped a couple of clubs update their stuff too, we noticed that Houston's was super organized. I mean, they have everything in there perfectly, and but they're far away from us. I mean, I think, it's not like, I think somebody talked about that earlier, how we could do joint things with other shuls, which we could do one with Beth Torah for sure, which is 5 minutes from
Yeah,
my
I mean, and we'll talk all about this online on Tuesday night and stuff like that, but you're not alone. This is not, you're not on an island, and, we've got some big regions, California, Western, you would think Northern New Jersey, which is also, there's so many people within that area and stuff, and that's why they have to have 2 Man of the Year dinners. The same thing with Seaboard and Bob's area. They have 2 Man of the Year dinners, things like that. So, we're gonna work with you. I'm glad that we finally have time to sit down and start to work together. I know Bill traveled over the summer, this summer, but we're ready to get going with you guys, and we can't wait.
We're so happy you're going to help us out. And there are going to be some challenges. I think because Texas is so big, the distances are going to be an issue.
Listen, Brett, we started, remember when I took you to the airport, we knew
Right.
this, listen, I got you.
No, I know. You were great. Thank you.
I was thinking, Mark, though, as we were talking about helping the regions, and I looked up, there's one of the various resources that we have is the FJMC 311 team. Like, this is club consultants. I realized on the page that it's behind the login. If you go to for clubs and click on club consultants 311 and log in, then you can see all the resources we have. So call on very experienced guys to help clubs with individual, with specific issues. Like here's the general email link. Oh, right. Okay. It's FJMC dash 311 at fjmc.org. But I just realized that we don't have like somebody designated for Texas at this point. So we need to do that, right?
We'll get on that when we talk about it on Tuesday. That's not a problem.
Look at the
one for us over here. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah, somebody
Yep.
that, other than, me helping you as the regional guy, but like, if you have
Sure.
program type question and things like that. So we're gonna have somebody that you can reach out to.
That's
We could really use that. Yes.
Awesome. We're gonna give you the tools, and
Thank you.
and you're not on an island. So
Yeah, that's exactly what we need. And I think once we know what that is, then we can certainly just begin to exploit it and start to, make it.
it's just like everybody else here, Rich, Rich down in Florida, Steve is, got my region, and he does a phenomenal job. And, it's having good people who work with you. It's good to lean, to have a board that you can lean on. it all works itself out. You know, you have your good times and your bad times, your ups and your downs, and but it's all fun in the end.
The current president, unless there's more than one Seth Feldman, the current president of my club, just popped on. I think maybe you has been at the other event. But, Seth, we're just about finishing up, and I will share the recording and the PowerPoint.
Well, thank you all again for coming. It's 8:29. I don't want to hold anybody past 8:30,
Thank you.
but
Chris.
thank you all again. Don't forget to light your FJMC candle for October 7th victims. That would be really cool tonight. And if you don't, you also have an app. Believe it or not, there's an app that you can light as well. So
Download it on right now. I don't think it's in the Android, the Google store, but you can get it certainly on
Apple.
on the Apple store. Just look for yellow candles and you can light a candle virtually as well. Okay, well, thank you, Mark, very much for leading this and for all your work.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you guys again. You're awesome.
Tova.
Easy fast, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Great job.
Thank you, Mark.